in heat number 7 of the women's 5K. Number 1, Kate Sanderson, going 16:27.28, a 24-second improvement on her personal best. Can we beat that margin with 2 heats to go? Just 10 kilometers remain of our evening at the David Henry Valentine Invitational, day 2 of 2. We've got 2 large alleys being separated by cones on the center stripe of this oval, this lightning quick launch pad at BU at 100 Ashford Street, an address that my colleague Phil Grove says you should know before many others in the world of track and field.
Carson, I was going to say we had 50 laps. You said we only have 10K. How is that the same?
I don't know. We're here at BU. You tell me.
2 races, 2 5,000-meter runs, a field of 24 scheduled to be on the oval. Again, 2 more dozen to wrap things up. They said we'd be finishing right about 9 o'clock. You know what? They're going to hit that almost on the button. And we will catch you up to the early leader in heat number 8. And that is number 7, Allison Dell from Lynchburg. And behind her, running for Loyola, Illinois, that looks like Alla Galoli, a 17:05 performer for Loyola from the Midwest.
And this is our first heat, Phil, wherein not a single runner has broken 17 per the seedings. Of course, there may be a couple of stragglers with unforeseen stories on injury comeback. Coaches might not necessarily want to place that outright expectation. We had a couple of athletes towards the back nearly come into some injury potential situations that can result from trips. So they got to be careful if they're running in those packs. Some athletes having to go 3 wide.
Looking at a 40-second opening lap pace, that would take them through a 3:20 opening kilometer, 5 laps per kilo here at the track and tennis center.
Again, that would be pace for a 16:40 if they want to merely break beneath that 17-minute barrier. They need to go 3:25 per, I believe. No, 3:24 per, my correction there. But as we've seen in select races, Phil, even if they do take it out a second slow in 3:25, we've seen a couple of races sense that pace and realize, hey, we can afford to pick it up a second or 2 in the second kilometer.
And we have a nice single file group, couple 2x2s toward the back, but still behind the young lady from Lynchburg, Allison Dell.
Dell in her senior year of eligibility with Lynchburg, trying to hold off this field. There we go, right around 3:21 through our first K. So not only are we sub 17 pace, but we're in the low 16:14s if we can keep this up. Looking at Dell's curriculum vitae, she's run as quickly as 17:06:03, the time that she was given per the seating, so that is true to form. As for her indoor season, though, this is her first time running the 5,000 meters. The last time we saw her run longer in a race was in the NCAA Division III Cross Country Championships, placing 26th overall.
There you go.
She even took 3rd in the Division III South region. And of the names that finished ahead of her, Bridget Hanley of Emory and Olivia Warr of Washington Lee, neither of those programs made the trip to Boston University, so she's effectively the top representative from the NCAA Division III South region here on the track at BU.
Lap number 7 at 4:43. Dell still leading the way. Olivia Walter from Arkansas State sitting on the rail in the number 4 position.
And then Marissa Espinoza there from the University of Texas. She's actually a transfer from University of Texas San Antonio to the University of Texas in Austin. She grew up in San Antonio, so no question as to why she initially chose to go to UTSA, but has since proven her worth to come to the big house, UT.
UTSA, you gotta love the mascot. They are the Roadrunners.
That's right. A couple select schools I've gotten to cover at the high school level as well. That brings to mind Elizabeth Seton, one of the great sprint programs out of Baltimore, Maryland. They're also the Roadrunners, so wonder if we got any Looney Tune fans in the house.
All right, I think this is the first time this weekend I've heard some Billy Squier cranking. That's old school rock and roll, trying to get these runners in the 5,000 meters. We're working the 2nd kilometer.
Bit of a contrast to day one. They turned the tunes off by this point last year, but rocking pretty good so far deep in the night. Our starters, our timers, jamming out to the atmosphere, and all of our remaining spectators here in this snowy Saturday night in Boston. We're gonna take 2 kilometers once we reach the start-finish line next. Espinoza gonna shoulder for the lead.
All right, 15 is gonna be on the board lap counter-wise. You were talking 3:20 opening kilo. What are we gonna do this one in, Carson?
Looks to be a bit outside of that, 6:45, 6:46, so still averaging beneath that 3:24 average required to break 17. Great pacing being made. Field starting to form a bit of a single file train. Not too many new contenders have emerged into the picture, but as for the order, our 4th place runner, Olivia Walter of Arkansas State, coming from the Red Wolves. She was initially scheduled to run the 3K, chose not to go for the double, wanted to run a fresh 5,000 meters, coming in at 17:07.48.
Again, Espinosa from the Texas Longhorns in front. Dell from D3 Lynchburg in the number 2 position, and I believe she said you said she was 26th overall in D3 cross country nationals.
Yes, yes, and 3rd in her South region as well. So bringing a lot of that longer strength in her first track 5K of the season. Again, Phil, a huge task that she set out for herself, but knows that this is a great time for her to go after that first sub-17.
And we will see that midpoint check-in at the end of the back straightaway. Espinosa still leading the way. And then Galuli from Loyola sitting in the number 2 spot. And then now 3rd is Olivia Walter from Arkansas State.
Look at Dell from Lynchburg. She did not like getting passed up there. She moved to the outside to try and find room, but realized no sense in making that move. Just over halfway through here.
And just a couple ticks on the clock, keeps slipping away. 8:28, so we're at 16:56 now. Hopefully getting back on par, getting under that sub-17 number. And we need to keep going because we have definitely lost some time to pace over the past 1,500 meters.
I'll tell you who's trying to get in the mix to increase this tempo over the latter stages. Saw a big move by Kennedy Roush of Anderson in South Carolina. She's right there in 6th right now in the black kit, wearing hip number 4, but she pulled right out from that top 8 to move her way up and up through that field, coming several hundreds of miles north, representing a Division II school from the Palmetto State. And so it is Texas, Loyola, Arkansas State, and then the Coast Guard Academy. Running in 4th right there, Claire Semerad Again, all of these athletes on the outside of 17 minutes looking in as far as their 5K credentials go. And so they're going to need to stay on the pace and not let it become too tactical, which I think they're doing a good job of right now, because if it were becoming more tactical, then you would likely see more than 10 runners currently in contention in the top 15 meters of this race. Coming up to our final 3 kilometers. There's our 3K split. In the meantime, 10:13, our final 2 kilometers. Just 10 laps to go. So 10:13, that's an average of just outside now of that 17-minute paces. They would have needed to be at 10:12 to maintain that 3K split for a 3:24 kilometer average. So look to see if they can get back on that pace come 4K. Now it seems like the field is becoming a little bit more tactical, at least towards the front. Yet a lot is changing on the fly. We got another D3 school trying to get in the mix from Williams College. That's hip number 22, Morgan Eigel, into the lead. Gotta say, I love the hair bows matching the uniform for the team from Western Mass. Followed by the Division II school from South Carolina, Anderson, in second. Remember that move by Kennedy Rouse. She had been in 6th at one point. She's right up there in second. And our new leader from Williams College, Morgan Eigel, when we had previously assessed her position, she wasn't even in that top grouping. And here she is on the front into the final mile.
8 laps, metric mile to go. And again, the long run of runners is broken up 2 groups. But we're seeing some fresh faces in the lead, with Walter the only one who's been consistently in the top 4 or 5, sitting in the number 2 position.
Claire Semerad as well. She's been in the top 4 and now in the top 3 from the Coast Guard Academy, but she's going to have to pull out and match the move and injection of pace being made by our D2 stud Kennedy Roush. If she wants to get back on pace come the next kilometer, which will be the final 5 laps, just 400 meters from when she crossed the start-finish line the latest time, she will need to hit a split of approximately 13 minutes and 36 seconds. So keep an eye out for that. We're just under a minute between now and then. And with 300 meters remaining before we hit 4K, I think she's getting us back on track, Phil.
She has definitely put herself out in front. Somewhat, even though she's by herself right now, in harm's way, because there is no turning back from the increased tempo that she is putting out there. The young lady from Anderson, South Carolina.
She finished 12th at the Southeast Region Cross Country Championships for Division II. Just didn't advance to the finals, but she's proven a very strong contender in the South Atlantic Conference, placing 4th in the 5K outdoors and 3rd in the 10K. She's got the strength to hold this up.
And she has her 5,000 PR from here at BU in the opener, 17:06.
And even if she doesn't maintain that 3:24 per K pace, she's still well ahead of that. She was just a little bit off of it there. That latest kilometer was right around a 3:24, so she's running on pace right now, but she's going to need to negative split this last kilometer to get that barrier broken.
So it's about 13:36. And you mentioned 2:24 pace.
And look out for the triple stripes there, the Adidas shorts being worn by the Red Wolf. Olivia Walter, 17:07. She was working together with her rival from the Coast Guard Academy there, Claire Semerad, and they're trying to push each other on their way back to the leader.
Kennedy Roush, Anderson, South Carolina, 4 laps remaining, 800 meters. If she can split just under 240, she's in the 16s.
That would certainly be a special close indeed. We've seen her drop beneath the 10-minute barrier for the first time as a collegian in the 3K. showing some of the mid-shorter end of her range. She's getting pretty close as well to the sub-5 mile land at 5:08.65. Hasn't had the chance to taste the distance this season. Probably was feeling a little conflicted as to which she would choose, but knowing that she's gone for the 5 and 10 double at her conference championships, I think it ultimately was a no-brainer. She's going for her first sub-17 5K.
3 laps remaining. She has about 2 minutes to get the job done. 40 seconds per lap.
And so, too, perhaps just a little bit less time to get beneath that barrier, Olivia Walter. She has broken away from her next closest challenger, but it's going to be tough to pick and choose our minor positions at this point, as the lap traffic is right around the same point geographically on the oval as the top contenders in the field.
I think once they get past this next runner, they're going to have a little bit of open track for a while. Walter, though, about 12 meters behind. 2 to go, 15:42. She's got to go sub-80. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And a little bit further than that is 78 would get her to 17 even. You have to think that she's going to have some additional wheels saved for the last 200-meter burst to the finish line, still keeping that gap consistent.
This is our penultimate race of the evening. Same goes for the weekend. Heat number 8, women's 5,000, Kennedy Roush, Anderson, South Carolina, from the NCAA Division II. She needs a 36 high to break 17.
Let's not forget, she can still go in the low 40s and even upper 30s and secure a personal best, but this is going to be about the win from here. We've got Williams back in the mix. This is their...
Tamar Bill Brand, right, wearing number 2 from Williams. She is now the number 2 runner, has passed Walter from Arkansas State. She is moving in. She is closing in. Here she comes. Who's going to get the victory? Who might go sub-17? Roush felt the pressure, but can't, I don't think, hold her off. It looked like the Williams runner got the advantage of the D2 star, and it was 17:01.04. Wow, what a run to the line.
Personal best for the both of them. What can you say? That was what I was telling myself in that last lap. The lap traffic, as much as it allowed our leader for the majority of the last portions of the race, Kennedy Roush, to separate from the field at the same time.